Alright guys, and welcome back to Armoured Warfare, and today we're taking a look at the M60A3, the Wolfie Tech Tree America Tier 5 main battle tank. So, this machine it's one of the most different MBTs to what you may expect. You've got the T-72 with its composite armour, you've got the Chieftain with its applique armour, you've got the Leopard, which is quite a mobile, very weak MBT. Then you come to the M60A3 and it's quite a different one. It starts off normal, 105mm gun mounted on a pattern chassis. Yes, it's normal, but then you get the armour upgrade, and this is the first vehicle in the game, well, the lowest tiered vehicle in the game, should I say, to get an era package. It gets an era package on its tier 5. The era isn't evenly spread, it's sort of slapped on in large areas here and there, but there are weak spots you can fire in between the era. And I remember back in early access, the M60A3 was ridiculously overpowered. The era used to soak up everything. Everything. AP, HE, heat rounds, it just ate it. And you could not kill one of these things. They were so hard to kill. But that's been toned down a bit, and it is much more balanced to the other tier 5. So this vehicle, it's got very nice armor protection. The era is very useful against heat rounds, but that Pal Maria that you saw there that did 42 damage to me, he has a massive hard-on for me. He keeps on shooting at me all game, and you'll see about 21 shells of him he fires at me. So as I was saying, the era really is effective at taking on small caliber AP rounds. It's really decent at taking on heat rounds of most calibers. It completely deflects them. HE, yeah, HE is sort of the era weakness. He fired and missed. I fired and blew his turret ring out. Here comes the artillery round again. There you go. Blew out the era on the front of the vehicle. The front upper glacis now has lost its era. That's the weakness of era packages, is HE. HE will damage the vehicle and it will blow the era packages up, which is really frustrating for these sort of people. So if you have got a HE spamming cannon such as a BMD or a BMP, load HE, spray HE at the era, try and blow it apart. If you're in artillery, fire a few rounds at one of these things, blow the era packages off, make this thing weaker to your friendly vehicles that may need to take them on. Another thing about this vehicle, the firepower. The 105mm gun that this vehicle gets is very, very effective. It gets some very nice rate of fire, 6.83 second reload, that's very good. Very accurate gun as well, about 0.09 degree spread. Aims quite quickly as well, I think it's about 2 second aim time, 2.5 second aim time, which is very nice for getting on target very quickly. It's also got very powerful heat rounds, which are very nice for taking on, like, you know, BMPs, BMDs, Begleiter Panzers. Very nice for knocking those out with the nice rate of fire and the increase in damage. The penetration not so much, but it is a very, very all-round good 105mm gun. Sort of thing you would expect on a light tank. And ow, there we go again. More era blown off the vehicle. The mobility is where this thing, it really gets hit hard. The mobility is very, very poor. Very poor. It's probably the least mobile, if not joint least mobile, with the Chieftain for its tier 5 MBT-ness. The only thing the M60A3 gets over the Chieftain is this thing is a bit smaller. And when I mean a bit smaller, much smaller, because the Chieftain is massive. Also, another problem with this vehicle that I've noticed is that if you want to get a critical shot on someone, you can fire into the driver's hatch and you'll get crit damage, which is just extra damage on top of what you would have done. Sort of like the old sniper bonus on a tank destroyer. But on an MBT or a light tank or an AFV's not so much. If you shoot the driver's hatch, you'll get crit damage. So that occurs, well, you know when it's occurred, because 2 rounds bounced off there, good armor protection. You'll know that's happened because instead of an orange bit there, like it comes up, the 117, the little damage indicator, it will come up yellow. That will symbolise that you've done a critical hit on them, and it will dish out more damage than you would have done. Also, that can be done on the engine grills on a vehicle. Generally, they're on top of the hull. But one thing that we find with the M60A3 is that the engine grill is actually on the rear of the vehicle. So if a BMD, a BMP, a Begleiter Panzer gets behind you and starts shooting your engine grills, it will very, very quickly total up the damage done to your vehicle. Which is one thing it's a minor thing, but you will notice that it happens well, not frequently, but when they do get behind you, you'll notice that you lose a lot of HP very quickly. And you want to be very careful about your engine deck behind you, or your engine panels behind you, because that is really where a lot of people will try to shoot you. That also means that the engine is very, very exposed on this vehicle. Basically, you've got an armoured housing round the engine, and it's just saying, shoot me, look, there's the engine grille, and everyone knows the engine is right behind where this vehicle is, and everyone will shoot the engine when they can. Why would you want to shoot the turret? The turret is quite strong with its era and that all mounted on it. There we go. If you notice, though, while I was blabbering on about the engine decks and critical hits on the M60A3, you'll notice I was shooting the turret rings of the Chieftains. Yes, that could be seen as a bad thing, because if the round went too low, it would bounce off the upper glacis. If it went too high, it might bounce off the turret. But the turret ring is quite a good weak spot to the Chieftains, especially when they have the applique armour on. The applique armour really shows up the turret ring. You can really see a very flat band around the bottom of the turret, which is very easy to penetrate. And if you do penetrate, you will basically 100% of the time damage the turret ring. 2 rounds, if not, if you're lucky on your first round, you'll completely shatter the turret ring, which is devastating for a Chieftain because of how sluggish it is. It really needs that turret ring to be able to get the gun on. So I was putting a lot of rounds into those turret rings of those Chieftains to try and slow down their turrets, of course, on getting their guns on target. M60A3, the turret ring is quite obscured on this vehicle. You'd be quite surprised. I don't really shoot at the M60A3's turret ring. The one place you do shoot on this vehicle, well, I was going to say, sorry M60A3 drivers, I'm going to ruin your secret. It's not really a secret, is it? Come on. There's a crit damage, by the way. 385 straight through there. It's not really a secret, though, on this vehicle where you have to shoot. You have to shoot the Commander's Cupola. But one thing about the Commander's Cupola is that it does have its own little mantlet on it for a machine gun. So if you are going to shoot the Cupola, try and aim to the side of that little machine gun mantlet. It'll be very helpful, and you'll do full damage all the time straight through these things, and make these things very, very difficult to basically play when you're just spraying into that massive Cupola on top. It really is a weak spot. But if you have the side or the rear, shoot the engine. Really, the M60A3 needs every bit of horsepower it can muster to be able to do anything. BMP2, right then. You saw there I fired an AP round and I've quickly switched to heat rounds. That BMP is coming up round the top there. We have a big oil tanker drum thing surrounding or between us and him. So I'm going to take it this side. If he's rushed round, he'll be round here. Nope, there he is. He's up there. He hasn't actually rushed forward yet. So he sprays a bit into the ground, trying to force me back. I am forced back because I know that Pal Maria has been shooting at me all game. Look at my incoming damage. Just Pal Maria, 4 shots, 10 rounds taken. I've probably taken about 8 rounds of artillery here. All the armour packages on my vehicle have been completely destroyed, so I haven't really got any protection against shape charge if anyone fires them at me. Oh, there's the BMP. Switch round, fire. I was really unlucky there that my round went low and hit the floor, of course. That BMP is making an escape. He does make a mistake here, though. He stops, tries to go forward, and I just jump down and completely blow him up with the shape charge. One guy left. It's artillery. He fires, hits me. I'm like, oh, move. But this thing does not want to turn. I dive into the puddle trying to get out of the way of where he's firing. And, of course, I just managed to get out of the way, and his last round does not hit. If that last round had hit me, I probably would have died there. But the M60A3, what's this vehicle like? Let's do a little recap on it, because I was sort of chatting a load of shit half the time about that. So let me clear it up for you. It's a tier 5 main battle tank with very, very good frontal armour. The turret front is very well angled, very thick. It's about 100mm, 120mm thick, I think. Maybe even thicker, and it's very well angled, which makes the turret very bouncy. The upper hull is about 196mm thick, which bounces plenty of rounds. Lower plate is quite weak, but when you've got the era package on this vehicle, the protection from the front and the sides on the turret and the hull becomes very, very good. Shape charge completely negated, basically, unless you get a lucky round through one of the unarmoured bits where the era isn't. Because if you look, the era is not symmetrical round the vehicle. If you do get an M60A3, just have a look, see where the era packages are, and see when you can try and angle your vehicle the best. But it generally does help out a lot against AP and shape charge. HE is the weakness. Artillery, you really don't want to be shot by artillery, so do use artillery cover quite a bit. HE will blow off at least 2 to 3 era packages per hit, maybe even more if you're unlucky. The gun, Very nice gun, not really much to say about it. Good penetration, good rate of fire, good alpha damage, good DPM. It's an all-round very, very nice 100mm gun and really does get the job done for a tier 5. Competitive even against maybe tier 6s and 7 vehicles when you get to their sides and rear. Front of tier 6s it can deal with. The mobility, very lacking on this vehicle. It's very slow. It's sort of like the Chieftain, except smaller and more armour and doesn't rely on a HP pool unlike the Chieftain does. So, 4,500 damage, 4 spots, 4 assists, Master Gunner. We did do top damage on the team. Not top kills, we only got 1 kill sadly. We got 4 assists, most damage. Nah, crap on the spots of course. And we did get the second most reputation, which is... It's a fair do. I'm not too good at the M60A3. I'd much prefer a T72 Ural over this vehicle. The Ural is far by probably my favourite tier 5 MBT. It does everything perfectly for an MBT that you would want from it. So guys, I hope I've taught you a little bit about the M60A3 and I hope you've probably come out of it a bit better off. If not, hopefully you'll know some weak spots or you'll know how to counter the M60A3. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.